Last year, Deadforge and I reviewed Singularity, a game that, despite having a messy story and simplistic crate puzzles, turned out to be a solid shooter. It delivered on the fantasy of being a time-manipulating soldier who can turn bad guys to dust at the press of a button. Today's game mirrors Singularity in a lot of ways. It's a time-traveling FPS, and like Singularity, it had a tumultuous development. Timeshift began life as a shooter to be released by Atari. Shortly after its announcement, Atari sold the rights to Sierra Entertainment, who slated it for a 2006 release and brought on big names like Dennis Quaid and Michael Ironside to voice the protagonist and the antagonist. Near its release, however, Sierra gave Saber Interactive a 1-year extension, leading to a massive overhaul. Out was the steampunk world, and in was a dark, drab landscape. Goodbye Ronald Reagan, hello silent protagonist.
If you had the ability to stop time for a few seconds, a few hours, what would you do? What would you do?
Timeshift ended up releasing in November 2007. It wasn't a disaster, nor was it a game changer. It was good enough, but good enough wasn't going to cut it, especially given the many excellent FPSs that released around this time. For context, Timeshift released a few weeks after the Orange Box and a few days before the original Modern Warfare. Talk about tough competition. Because of the subject matter, I knew there was only one person I could turn to.
You son of a bitch.
Timeshift is Saber Interactive's half-light sci-fi shooter 2007. A game at the time taking a bit from Half-Life 2 in its inspirations, with semi-open world kind of locations, largely linear gameplay, story-focused, kind of the dystopian future dealing with time travel.
Now let's see if the FPS Time Forgot deserves to be forgotten, or if it's worth revisiting.
I think Crone considers you a threat.
Dr. Aiden Crone plans to use one of 2 time suits his team has developed to travel back in time to alter history. Crone sets a bomb to destroy the underground lab, and you narrowly escape by hopping into the other suit and following him to 1939. Upon crash landing, you discover the world is a dystopic nightmare, so you team up with a growing resistance to take out Crone and fix the timeline.
I thought we did you in for a second there. Wouldn't want that to happen before we met face to face, right?
Timeshift's story sounds simple, but the unclear motives and little to no world building mar what was already a run-of-the-mill premise. The game thrusts you right into the action, with your unnamed silent protagonist arriving in a world that's already gone to hell.
What are you not telling me?
Timeshift posits several questions but never answers them. How did Crone take over the world? How long has he been the supreme ruler? Why didn't Crone destroy the second suit his team was working on before traveling back? When did it occur to the main character that Crone was up to no good?
I suggest you don't worry about this sort of thing and just enjoy yourself. That goes for you all, too. Yes.
I feel like all these questions were answered in the original Quaid Ironside version, but when Sierra gave them the extension, Saber took a chainsaw to the story and stitched together this new, barely coherent plot.
The story is pretty basic sci-fi stuff, but is still pretty interesting nonetheless. And the whole going forward and backwards in time and being placed in kind of the same location but at different points in time is really unique and interesting.
The characters suck. It's a rotating roster of faceless resistance members whose only goal is to get you to your next destination. The ones you see during the flashbacks, i.e. these 2, aren't memorable either. To top off this undercooked meal of a narrative, we get a sequel hook that it doesn't deserve. Singularity had a muddled story, but it attempted to flesh out its world through notes and audio logs. It was predictable, yes, but it gave context, something Timeshift lacks.
We need to talk. I think Crone knows I'm helping you. I don't know what to do. He's scaring me.
No. Anyway.
Timeshift is best described as a 6th-gen shooter with a 7th-gen coat of paint. Take away the 7th-gen era brown and gray graphics, and you have a shooter that, mechanically speaking, feels more in line with the shooters of the PS2 Xbox era than the shooters that were out around this time.
Crone finally saw the beta suit last night. He looks stunned.
Timeshift's core gameplay is as FPS as it gets. You have a 3-weapon limit, slow as molasses walking speed, and regenerating health. This is nothing new. What is new, at least at the time, is the game's time manipulation mechanics. Armed with the beta suit, you can slow down, pause, and rewind time. Each ability has its perks. Slowing down time makes your character move faster and improves accuracy. Pausing freezes everything in place. Rewind, well, rewinds time. Each ability drains at a different speed. Slowing down time consumes less energy than pausing does.
It kind of is reminiscent of Singularity in the sense of taking these popular FPS tropes and kind of melding them together, but then using time manipulation as a basis to create something new, whereas Singularity used the ability to freeze, or basically reverse and forward time on objects and things like that, and kind of use it to manipulate some things. Timeshift is more using the power of time travel to be able to fast forward, reverse, and slow down / pause time.
Get ready, man. We're already coming for it. Oh, shit! Sounds like they're on quads!
Timeshift wants you to go nuts with its time shifting, but you can't be too reckless or else you'll always run dry. It's easy to grasp, but challenging to master. Once it clicks though, it's satisfying. You can pause time to steal a grunt's gun, slow down time to deliver max pain against your enemies, or my personal favorite, kill a hapless soldier over and over
and over and over and over and over.
The weapon roster consists of FPS mainstays like pistols, shotguns, and assault rifles, mixed with unique guns like an explosive crossbow and a machine pistol loaded with incendiary rounds. Each gun has an alternate fire, whether it's the grenade launcher for the assault rifle or the flamethrower for the machine pistol.
I need some marshmallows.
Of course, you can't have a shooter without enemies, and Timeshift offers plenty of goons to shoot. Some of them are outfitted with time-bending gear, but they're not a problem because again, you're a time-bending badass. The AI itself is quite decent. They give a good challenge and aren't a total breeze. They'll call out your position, flank you, and do their best to stop you from reaching Crone. They react accordingly to your time powers or if you have a particular weapon equipped. Timeshift features plenty of puzzle solving to go along with the shooting. Unlike Singularity's boring as hell crate puzzles, Timeshift's puzzles require some thought. Some are as simple as pausing time to walk past a hazard, while others need you to rewind time to reach an inaccessible area. Some of my favorite moments playing Timeshift didn't come from looping enemy deaths like a YTP, but from figuring out a problem when the solution wasn't obvious. These puzzles help elevate Timeshift's abilities from a gimmick to an intuitive mechanic.
What the hell's gotten into Crone? He just reversed our improvements on beta. He said we are getting ahead of ourselves.
Being a rocket launcher wielding Time Lord is fun, but there are parts of Timeshift where it feels like the developers, pardon the pun, fell short on time. For starters, aiming feels stiff. As a console peasant, I appreciate FPSs where it doesn't feel like I'm wrangling with my gun, but Timeshift tempered my enjoyment. Scoped weapons felt cumbersome to use as I struggled to line up a shot with a sniper rifle. Fortunately, this game has a literal pause ability, so it's not too big of a problem.
Hey, you're the suit guy. I heard about you.
Another issue is the lack of upgrades. Given the subject matter, you'd think there'd be some sort of upgrade system that allows you to improve the suit's functionality, maybe even unlock new powers to use with the ones you have, but there aren't any. It becomes apparent during later stretches when you're fighting tougher enemies. It's hard to be a badass if you're cowering behind cover while your suit takes its time to recharge. Compare that to Singularity, where there were character and weapon upgrades that turned you from just another soldier into an unstoppable killer.
A few moments later.
The game looks great, in my opinion. Even with the dark brown color palette that games at this time had, I think it still visually is pretty impressive. It looks good on high settings on my laptop.
Timeshift looks alright, but you can tell this is a game from 2007. What with the abundance of brown and gray urban environments and characters who look like they walked off the set of Gears of War. It's generic as hell and not helped by the lackluster art style. It's a hodgepodge of Art Deco, steampunk, and near future, none of which gels together. You have modern looking cityscapes and weaponry, but there's a giant mechanical spider ripped straight out of Wild Wild West roaming around in the background. There are some nice visual elements. The pouring rain in the early levels helps sell the oppressive tone, and there's lots of destructibility. Bullets rip apart walls, and laser guns turn bad guys into meaty chunks. The voice acting is unremarkable, although it is funny hearing Nathan Drake scream for water after being set on fire. Timeshift is the type of game that, back in the day, you'd pick up from Blockbuster, play it over the weekend, tell yourself that was fun enough, before returning it and never touching it again. It's one of the best rent, don't buy experiences I've ever played. That's not me calling Timeshift bad. Far from it. Time bending is fun and never grows thin due to the various puzzle solving and vehicle segments peppered throughout the 7 to 8 hour campaign. It's fun to break the laws of reality, but the game it's built around is forgettable and has a story that doesn't make sense no matter how much you try to think about it.
I can see why the game was kind of received, kind of mixed at the time. It doesn't really do anything that pushes it further than anything else. I wouldn't say that it's better than a Half-Life 2, which it doesn't have to be.
Part of me wonders what could have been had they stuck with the initial version. Maybe it would have been a cult classic, maybe not. The game goes for cheap, so if you find a copy, there's no harm giving it a shot.
Overall, I think it does exactly what it needs to do, and it's a good game. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's fast-paced, it looks good, it feels good to play, interesting mechanics. I highly suggest it. I think you should check it out.
Though if you want a time travel FPS with a little more quality, play the Time Splitters trilogy. That shit is still peak 20 years later. Timeshift, not so much. Timeshift gets a 6 out of 10. A huge thanks to Deadforge for once again collaborating with me. Be sure to check out his channel and the Quad Damage podcast. Deadforge is one of YouTube's hidden gems. Thank you for watching.